sarva bhavena, with a full heart, not half-hearted, right? But like full-hearted. This is where we're trying to go. That heart, our heart should be like heavy, with feelings of devotion, and that, like, you take that whole heart and you offer, not like part of the heart. Like, you know what, I'm into this bhakti. It's nice. Yeah, I love the music. I think the philosophy is really good. The culture is great. And I have other interests in life too that I pursue separately from that, and maybe even contradictory to it a bit, like it's kind of wasting time, and it has no real value according to the values that I've adopted in bhakti, but I'm hanging on to it because I'm still tasting a little something there. And I think if I gave that up, maybe I would miss out on a little taste.
Well, that's
It's
the interesting thing
not
about
full-hearted.
as we approach Krishna, he starts to shine light on our other desires. And then we
Okay.
start to realize, like, actually, this desire is merely for my ego. I
Yeah.
thought I actually liked to do it. I thought it was good for me. It's really good for my prestige. It's really good for my distinction. It's really good for people to think I'm cooler, or it makes. But no, 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 no. It's actually taking me away from this even sweeter thing. So
Mm.
that's part of our self-realization. Krishna helps us makes us realize what our real self-interest is and what our
Yeah.
false self-interest is, what is actually our ego interest. It's so
Right.
easy to say I love God, isn't it? I love God. I love God. All right, prove
Very
it.
easy.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. It's March 13th, 2025. This is episode 1553, and it is the holy, auspicious Maha Mahotsava of Gora Purnima, or the full moon, that Lord Chaitanya, also known as Gora or Gauranga, appeared under this moon.
Mm.
Happy Lord Chaitanya's appearance day, Kaustubha.
Thank you. I mean, of course, over here in India, it's tomorrow. So
Yeah,
I wasn't at all prepared for this for
it's
today.
okay. So
Normally
we're
we
going to
do a
call it
whole show
like,
dedicated to it.
well, we can do it tomorrow too. It doesn't get old.
It's also holy tomorrow.
Holy. It's exciting.
Holy.
Holy is the festival of colors, throwing. They sometimes call it the spring festival, but it's got some, Radha and Krishna throw these little colors at each other, squirt each other with little squirt guns.
Syringes.
Isn't it interesting that the squirt guns are in the spiritual world as well? Like the
Yeah, but
little,
they have like a syringe. It's like a big
it's like
hypodermic needle.
it is without the needle, and you
Yeah.
squirt each other, but it's playful. And
Yeah.
but squirting each other like kids do is something of the spiritual realm as also.
Yeah, it's all there first.
Yeah. Well, good morning. We had some Krishna miracles, and I think it's almost worth unmuting Timothy Tucker for this. What do you
Okay.
think?
All right.
All
Yeah.
right, where's Timothy Tucker here? View. I'm going to unmute you, Timothy Tucker, and sweet lady Katie.
Good morning, Hare Krishna.
Good morning,
Morning.
Hare Krishna. I like your new haircut.
Oh,
Off.
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah,
been
it feels a
noticing.
lot lighter.
Okay, tell us about your Krishna miracle yesterday, sir.
Yesterday, I brought my daughter Sadie to the playground,
Okay.
and we had been there for a while, and we were about to leave, and as we were grabbing our bags to leave, a little girl ran over to Sadie and asked her if she wanted to play. I was like, sure, we can stay for a little while longer. So then I started talking with the little girl's father. And he was a really interesting guy, and we kind of headed off and had a really nice, just kind of deep and philosophical, fun conversation. And that went on for like about an hour as our daughters were playing. And
You went right to a deep philosophical conversation with this guy?
yeah, it was weird. It just it just went right there, and it was just like I don't know. It was just very natural, and just I don't know, seemed like we knew each other type of thing. And then I forget what we're talking about exactly. It's mainly just, parenting stuff and life. And something we're talking about, led me to quote the Gita, something about doing your work and renouncing the results,
Okay.
the actions and
Timothy,
whatnot.
tying it all in there. I know what you're doing.
That's right. And then so when I mentioned that, and he asked like what it was from, and I said Bhagavad Gita, and then he was like, "Oh, my sister is way into the Hare Krishna movement. She was just in Mayapur and all this stuff." And I was like, "Who is she there with? Like, did she go with a group?" And he was like, he mentioned Super Soul. I was like, "Oh my God!" And then I asked who it was, and he said it was Catherine A, the handstand yogi.
Catherine,
Yeah.
that is such a crazy
Go fun
Krishna
queen.
miracle. I got to get this verified by the Pope here. Kaustubha, can we call that a Krishna miracle?
Yes, I will grant that one miraclehood.
All right, good. All right,
I feel
congratulations.
validated. Thank you, Kaustubha.
Thanks for sharing that. And
Connections.
Jiu-Jitsu Nath said he had one too. I think it might have been he ran into somebody who goes, "Hey, are you Jiu-Jitsu Nath?"
Okay.
I don't know if they call that a miracle. It could be just sort of I
A
don't know,
sighting, a connection.
an exciting connection. But well, then why is Timothy's a miracle? Why wouldn't Jiu-Jitsu Nath be a miracle then?
Well, it required two for. I think it was
Oh, right.
mathematically was
Right,
yeah.
right. First of all, what are the chances you talk to the other guy in the park? The second thing is, even if you talk to him for an hour, you may not come up with the thing of Hare
That's
Krishna.
right. They
But you know what
almost
that
didn't.
means? That means Timothy Tucker has Krishna on his mind. The fact that he
Yeah.
weaved in Bhakti philosophy to the conversation.
Right.
And that's something I wanted to talk about today too, Kaustubha, is
What's that?
everybody's listening to this podcast, everybody that is listening to this podcast, we have to think about, especially on this day today, we have to start thinking about how we can give it to others, how we can spread this, how we can bring people either to our home or go to places where we can find a place where we can have a regular kirtan or a regular reading or a regular study group. Whether you feel qualified or unqualified, it's one of these things that we have to step into as missionaries, as people on a mission from God. And now some people get really intimidated by that, but it only bolsters your own spiritual strength. You'll find God working through you on a regular basis. Some people are sort of like they're opposed to this, but you got to understand the material world is suffering. Like they suffer with so many things, even people who have things and or things are so-called going materially well. There's a lot of pain. And this bhakti literature, this wisdom literature has the solutions for them because a lot of the
Yeah.
pain, in the same way God's within us, a lot of the pain's within us as well. And we have to learn how to deal with that. So we encourage everybody to not just be hearers of this, but to be speakers of this as well. What do you think
I
about that?
suppose it's just a question of learning how to do it with some tact and some sensitivity.
And guess how you learn that? By doing it. Because you and me weren't the most,
Just
right? You and me weren't the most tactful, and then we practiced it. There's a lot of times we approached
doubt.
people, we cold called people, so to speak, on the street, and we were just like, verbally, judo flipped. And like, oh, that was embarrassing. That was embarrassing. And you also learn the philosophy by explaining to others, sometimes even getting defeated by others. You have to go back to your drawing board, like, okay, that didn't work. He countered me with this, and I wasn't prepared for it. But it's important. That's how we learn to explain it.
Mm.
But yeah, you got to give the right dose of the right medicine to the right people. But
Yeah.
I think our people are pretty. I mean, they listen every
Yeah.
day, and we try to explain it in a very down to earth way.
Yeah. There's the John the Baptist kind of model, you know, which is like you stand on the street and scream and everybody repent, like this.
Yeah, that works
Worked for
sometimes.
him, but
They did
not everybody.
They did crucify him also.
They cut his head off, I think. And
Did they?
isn't that right? Yeah, the
Maren,
wife
can you
of the emperor
ChatGPT
said,
that?
"I want John the Baptist's head on a plate," and
Oh
then he was
God,
kind of obliged to do it. And yeah, that's what happened to him.
that's
Um,
horrible news.
yeah.
Or Perneem.
Okay, let's just move on.
Okay.
But yeah, but it requires some tact. But you learn. You learn how to present it. It sounded to me like Timothy Tucker did a nice job. He just kind of, he was talking to a guy, and became natural, and then he weaved it on in there and shared a little something. And yeah, you learn how to do that. And you're right. It's this idea of sharing this is like somehow proselytizing and how you really, no, it's like anybody that's got something good, they should try to share it. You know, if you have something that's really good in your life, it's natural that you try to share it. It's not that you're forcing it on anyone, and you try to do it again. When I say with tact, I mean with tact, but also just with like it's not that we're trying to get people to join something, but we're just trying to share some wisdom about life, you know?
You join our
I'm
podcast.
you can join the podcast, that's fine. But in other words, you know, it's if that's really your intention, people will feel it. I think people will understand. Oh, that's an interesting way to look at life. I like that. Where'd you get that from? You know?
But you know what's you know what's good because Timothy Tucker, he has a taste for Bhakti. His family has a taste for
Yeah.
Bhakti, and that's when people pick up on that. He's not
Yeah.
just trying to sell me something. He's trying to sell me something he's joyful
Yeah,
about.
he's living
And
it.
the
Yeah.
interesting thing is, because Catherine A probably goes home all the time, sees her family. Her family's like, okay, what's she into? This weird? Is this cool? But then when she meets the brother meets this other guy
Yeah,
randomly.
normal guy.
He seems well. He's normal. Look at him. And then he sees a nice Timothy Tucker, and he must be like, all right, maybe there's
Oh,
something.
yeah.
You see how Krishna's working
Yeah.
to touch his heart as well.
Hmm.
It's like as soon as you get a little curious, Krishna sends the devotees. It's true, isn't it?
It's true.
I kept on meeting devotees, and it was weirding me out. I was like, what is going on?
You know, it's funny how Krishna does it. I told you that story not so long ago about how the first time I put on a dhoti and this crazy skinhead came up and started flipping out. And Krishna just had the right words for me to speak that blew the guy's mind, you know?
Oh yeah. That was a good
And
story.
and another story is the first time I ever went to see my parents as a Krishna devotee. I was a brahmachari, right? And I went right into their house, right into my town, you know, like right wearing,
That's the
you know,
toughest. Going to your
full on
hometown is the toughest.
full on brahmachari gear, you know, shaved head, orange robes. And to my parents' credit, when it came time, you know, I grew up just like a block from the train station.
Right.
So to their credit, when it came time for me to go back to the city, they walked me to the train station. I think they wanted to demonstrate, you know, like
Like
I'm
we
there
accept
or
you. That's
something.
pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. And so
My mother like practically cried when she saw me in that toady.
well, they may cry too, but they walked me to the train station. And then when we got to the train station, this girl came up. Well, this girl
Oops.
came up to me with my parents right there, and she had on a shirt that said Hare Krishna on it, right?
What?
Yeah, because you know
What?
it's one of those shirts that you know because all the kids would go to the mall in Washington
Y-
D.C.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
right
It's one of
around
those
this Krishna
shirts.
Fest thing.
You know
Yeah,
what's
there used
funny?
to.
I
Yeah.
called that shirt the Harry Carey shirt because it had the three dots and it looked like they were like gunshots and it was written sort of in sort of a gory lettering.
Huh. Well, in any case, you know, there used to be devotees that we knew that did kirtan, this kind of full-on electro kirtan thing every day, and they get all like the high school and not in just high school, all the school classes that would go to the mall in D.C.
The
where all the
Smithsonian
museums are,
Institute. Yeah.
Smithsonian, yeah. They would get all those kids to chant and dance, and they sold T-shirts, and lots of those kids were just like, "That was so much fun," and they buy a T-shirt. And so this girl was like the younger sister of like a girl that was in my class in school,
Right.
and she came up and I said, "Oh, Hare Krishna," you know, and we just connected. But just for my parents to see, whoa, like other people are into this too, you know, like
Right.
just in that short moment that we were in public together, a person came up with like a Hare Krishna T-shirt on. That's like Krishna doing his stuff, you know.
It happens in the
Isn't it?
weirdest
That's
of
a Krishna
ways.
miracle.
It's a Christian
Yeah,
miracle.
that's a Krishna miracle.
Yeah, well, I told you that time that that shelter was staying at my mom's house in Connecticut, and we were
Okay.
doing like we had like I think it was shelter and baby Gopal was with us. We were like I had 10 devotees staying at my mom's house,
Yeah.
and then some guy and some like because I didn't live there for like maybe 15 years, and then some guy knocks on the door and they go, "Is there a Brahmin living here?" And I
Okay.
was like, "What?" I was like, "He in my hometown," and a guy knocks on the door. I was like, "Who are you?" He goes, "I live across the street, and I had lived in a Hare Krishna temple for many years in New Vrindavan, and I was initiated by Srila Kirtananda Swami." but I never
Interesting.
found out what happened. I just sort of went my own way. I was like, well, what happened?
A lot happened. I don't
What
have time for
happened
that
when
right
we
now.
saved you? But yes. So now an ex-Brahmin lived across the street from my mother, which was a pretty Krishna miracle too.
Yeah.
That was a Christian miracle, like right across the street.
I granted Krishna miracle status.
Thank you. He's the Pope. Go stupid. He's just giving away miracle status today.
Well, these are good ones. No, the fact that right across the street from you, a person that was an initiated devotee, the number of the population, statistically, that are initiated devotees in the United States is very small.
Yeah.
And the fact that they would move, was it directly across the street from you, or did you exaggerate?
Directly.
Okay, so that's
Directly
like-
across the street.
So that is a Krishna miracle, just
That is a
statistically. That's like one out of, what's the percentage of devotees, initiated devotees? Like one out of every 100,000 or so. I don't know.
Yeah. In America,
So-
come on.
So that's a Krishna miracle.
That's Krishna. I mean, he could have moved anywhere on that block or anywhere in my hometown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
And
interesting.
even on the block would be statistically.
I got to write this stuff
right
down
across the
because this stuff is like when miracles happen, you got to write them down
street.
because you forget how magic.
Okay.
All right.
Now that we're done with that magic,
Every day before I go to bed, every night, I pray to Lord Chaitanya and I say, please, Lord Chaitanya, appear to me, or have Krishna and the cowherd boys appear to me, or Radha and Krishna or Guru appear to me in my dreams tonight.
Or at
Every
least
night.
create
have
some
these-
kind of cool Krishna miracle in my life.
Yeah. Give me some miracles. Give me some miracles.
What
Speaking
about
of miracles, we're in the midst of Durvas Muni.
We
Quite
need no, but
miraculous.
before that, we need the miracle, the Krishna miracle.
Ooh, the miracle, the oracle of the miracle. You are a Krishna miracle. Come here, Mara. Get over here. Scoot on next to me. Mara's so nice. She's like the nicest person. You are so nice. She's like, and I'm not used to nice. I'm not used to nice. She's very nice.
That's good.
Thanks. Let's see. No show on Sunday, but on Saturday we'll have Q&A day at the same time, 6 a.m. Eastern time. And if you have a question you'd like us to answer, you can put it on the Sage community chat on our website, or you can email it to us at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com.
There we go.
It's America. Okay. All right, we got a nugget today, sir.
Yes. Who's this from?
It's from Jeremiah, from the Bible.
From Jeremiah. Okay.
Jeremiah. It's from Jeremiah.
At least from the book. Is it the book of Jeremiah? I suppose.
The book. It's from the book of Jeremiah. I don't know
That's
if
Old,
Jeremiah
that's Old
said it.
Testament, right?
Yeah. I never jived with the Old Testament.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to jive with.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I guess a lot of people wouldn't even consider the Bible, except if you're a Christian. You know what I mean? It's like what Christians think about the Mormons. They're like, they don't think that's
Jews
the
are into it.
Bible. The Jews are into it, and I guess the Christians are into it too. But the
What are you trying to say?
I don't know. We got to talk about the Mormons one day. Very interesting group.
Okay. We'll cue that up sooner or later. But let's hear what Jeremiah.
Okay, here's
29:13.
Jeremiah. You know why I'm talking about the Mormons? Because I just got the history of Canaan, New York. It was like some photocopied thing where Super Soul Farm is, and I bought it at Town Hall.
Joseph Smith.
Some
was right
local
there.
historian. No, there's a lot of early Mormons were from this area. They found the golden plates like right around here somewhere.
Is that why you walk around with your metal detector?
Well, I also did
Maybe more
find there
plates out
was two big open silver mines in my like within a kilometer from me.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
Imagine if you found another Mormon plate.
oh my
I mean-
God, Kaustubha, I've got some important news.
What would it be worth?
Well, it's not just that; it's the decoder ring. There's like a decoder plate that because it was written in some strange language, they didn't know what it was.
Oh, you had to decode
Okay,
it.
Jiu-Jitsu Nath says Mormonism started near here, closer to Rochester.
All right.
I think Jiu-Jitsu Nath could be some incarnation of what's that guy? Brigham Young or something.
All right,
'Cause
let's hear the nugget.
Because one of those guys was like
Let's hear
a
the
full-on
nugget.
warrior as well. All right, let's get into this,
Jeremiah.
Jeremiah. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. Boom. That's very much like 10th chapter, verse 10. To
Yeah,
those
you
who
could
are,
have put a little different intonation on that. You with all your heart.
you will seek me and
That's
find
how
me
I
when you seek me with all your heart.
There you go. That's right.
To
There you go.
those who are, what is it? To those who are dedicated to,
Constantly devoted to serving me with love.
I give them the understanding by which they can
I
come to
give
me.
them the understanding by which they can come to me.
That's
Didani
beautiful.
Bhumi. Yeah, that's a nice connection. Yeah, I think a lot of Bhagavad Gita verses when I hear this. I think of well, 10:8. Buddha
Yeah.
Bhava Samanvitaha. The wise who perfectly. I am the source of all spiritual material worlds. Everything emanates from me. That's a big statement. The wise who perfectly know this. They engage in my devotional service. They worship me with all of their hearts, right? Buddha
Yatamam
Bhava.
prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham.
Mhm.
As they surrender to me, I reward
Yeah.
accordingly. Hmm?
Yeah, there's that. But this fullness of heart that I'm thinking of, Sarva Bhavi. There's 15:19.
10,
Whoever,
10,
whoever.
11.
Okay, let me work on this on this one first. But whoever knows me as a supreme personality Godhead, without doubting, they're the knower of everything. They know Brahman, they know Paramama, they know Bhagavan, they know everything, and therefore they engage themselves in my loving service. Bhajati, they render devotional service, sarva bhavena, with a full heart, not half-hearted, right? But like full-hearted. This is where we're trying to go. Our heart should be like heavy, with feelings of devotion and that, like you take that whole heart and you offer, not like part of the heart. Like, you know what, I'm into this bhakti. It's nice. Yeah, I love the music. I think the philosophy is really good. The culture is great. And I have other interests in life too that I pursue separately from that and maybe even contradictory to it a bit, like it's kind of wasting time and it has no real value according to the values that I've adopted in bhakti, but I'm hanging on to it because I'm still tasting a little something there. And I think if I gave that up, maybe I would miss out on a little taste.
Well, that's
Just
the interesting thing
not
about
full-hearted.
as we approach Krishna, he starts to shine light on our other desires. And then we
Okay.
start to realize, like, actually, this desire is merely for my ego. I
Yeah.
thought I actually liked to do it. I thought it was good for me. It's really good for my prestige. It's really good for my distinction. It's really good for people to think I'm cooler, or it makes. But no, 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 no. It's actually taking me away from this even sweeter thing. So
Mm.
that's part of our self-realization. Krishna helps us makes us realize what our real self-interest is and what our
Yeah.
false self-interest is, what is actually our ego interest. It's so
Right.
easy to say, I love God, isn't it? I love God. I love God. All right, prove
Very
it. prove, prove.
How I can put it to the test. Yeah, I think of it a lot in terms of just, it's said that when it comes to what is surrender, two of the six principles of surrender are accepting everything that's favorable for bhakti and letting go of everything that's unfavorable. And that's how the heart becomes fully devoted. It's not like I keep part of my heart for Krishna and I have another part of my heart that'll just cling on to any trivial, silly thing, whether it's just something I'm watching on YouTube or, some aspect of life that really has no tie-in. It's when I kind of just turn away from God. Can I turn away from him every now and then? Can I have a little space? I mean, you can. Yeah, he'll let
Yeah,
you have it. But that means you're not in love yet, You're not in
yeah.
love. You don't have a heart full of love. And that's really what we're trying to work towards. So that full-hearted. We're going to hear where we go now. We're going to have the whole rest of the chapter that we're in with Ambarish and Vishnu here. Vishnu now is telling Durvasa's got that Sudarshan chakra on his back, and he's come all the way to Vishnu and saying, "Help!" And
Right.
and and um and Vishnu is saying, nothing against you or anything, but my heart is entirely absorbed in my devotees like Ambarish, and his heart is entirely. We're on another level than you. You got a lot of mystic power. You know, you did austerities and chanted mantras and did different things. You got a lot of power. We were into something else. We really love each other. Like that's what we're into, and it means that I can't even really help you right now because he's got my heart entirely,
And this is a very
and
beautiful part of the story too. It's like
it's very
not just
beautiful.
like Maharaj, the king, who was in one sense surrounded by wealth and power and name and prestige. He's a great devotee. It's not just that. It's that, but the Lord is so absorbed in him. This is the
Yes,
beautiful thing about bhakti. It's not you falling in love with God. It's God like
God falling in love with you.
reconnecting deeply with you.
Yeah.
So,
That's what he's going to say is I'm powerless here because I love him so much. What can I do? You know, what can I do?
this brings us back to the very beginning of the show where I said that everybody's got to go out and share this with other people because
Oh.
you're right. We may not be very qualified. We may give like the wrong dose of bhakti. Timothy Tucker could have blown out Catherine A's brother somehow. Like, you're going to start chanting the holy name. But whatever it is, but whatever it is, when you do it in a sincere way, you find that Krishna will give you the words to say because it's
Yeah.
no longer you doing it anymore. Krishna wanted those two to connect somehow, and he
Right.
used Timothy to connect with Catherine A's brother, who probably has a big handful of piety in him as well. And Krishna will just put people together like that. And then Krishna will start speaking through you, and you're not going to even
Yes.
realize, where did I get these words from?
It's
I don't even know
coming
what I'm
from the
saying.
heart, right? It's
Yeah,
coming. It starts to come from the heart. It's not lip deep. It becomes heart deep.
comes
In one
hard.
sense, it does. You know, like I was sharing when and I've shared that story a few times on the show that when I first met my guru, in one sense, I didn't even meet him. He just spoke to us.
Yeah.
But it was just a few of my friends gathered in an apartment, and I'd heard the Bhakti philosophy from reading Prabhupada's books, and I had been to one or two other programs too, and it was ringing true to me, but I
Right.
definitely wasn't ready to say this is it. I'm one of these guys now. Give me the neck beads and let's go. I,
This is my path. Oh, come on, you had the
yeah,
neck beads though. Come on, liar.
no, not at that point.
Really?
Only after.
Okay, I
Yeah,
thought you were like, okay, I'll get the neck beads, but I'm not really into this. But the beads are
no,
cool.
I didn't. No, no, no.
The beads are cool. I mean, I wore the beads
Get the
before I opted
just
in. I
because they
just
look
like
cool. But
they were cool.
okay, see,
I,
that's
what and
you.
all I had was puka shells before
No,
that, so I think the beads were a step up from the puka shells. You can see
no,
on
I
the
had no puka
breakdown
shells,
on the
and I
Youth
had the
of Today Break Down the Walls album. I had puka shells. On the next album, I had
okay.
neck beads on.
Aren't puka shells like a California thing or something like that?
It was sort of like a surfy thing, puka shells,
Yeah.
Hawaiian maybe.
Okay. Well, any case, I wasn't wearing the beads. To me, I saw those beads as like a symbol that this is my thing. So I wasn't going there. But he spoke. He spoke, and it was like his words just had. You know, in other words, other people may have been saying really similar stuff to what he said, but you know, maybe because it was coming from his heart. You know, when you love someone, that those words become
Mm.
invested with potency, you know, with bhakti shakti, you know. So I think his words they just worked in their way. What was in his heart was coming through his mouth. It wasn't lip deep; it was heart deep the way he was speaking, and it just touched my heart. You know, it can penetrate. The deeper it's coming from within him is the deeper that it can go within me. You know, and similarly as you're saying that with Timothy Tucker, you know, the deeper it is inside us, if it's coming from a full heart, then those words come out and they go to the heart of the next person. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, I was also thinking like perhaps Catherine A is trying to tell her brother about Bhakti. I'm just speculating, but tell her brother about Bhakti, but it's heard from all the filters of, oh, this is my little sister. You know what I mean? So even though some of the
Right,
stuff might
right,
be
right, right.
landing with it, we're not a body, we're spirit, we're here a long time. You know, we're not actually a family. We're actually clusters of souls that come together and to work through stuff. And I can see Catherine because she's very eloquent in the way she speaks as well. But I can hear it when you hear it from a sibling. Sometimes a
Yeah.
sibling is like, I don't know,
Yeah.
you are my little
Yeah.
sister.
Yeah.
But then it comes from another angle, a very grounded father that you meet in the park, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Taking care of his kid.
taking care of his
Going-
kid. He seems to have his
Yeah.
act together. I'm going to listen to what he says.
Yeah, he's saying my sister, I love her, but she's into her cold plunge thing, and she's into like handstands and stuff. Like, so I don't know if I take this stuff seriously. She's into her stuff. But then you got a guy there. He's at the
You got a
park,
guy
he's watching
here.
his
He's an entrepreneur. He's a T-shirt manufacturer.
kid.
He runs a small business. His wife is a famous chef, and it's
They got a little itty bitty baby lady, Sadie.
hey, baby Casey. Okay,
Let's get into it, bro.
continuing on.
Hit it. Hit it.
Ryanam namaskrityanam chaivan arotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before we start in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasudeva, the author. Nasta prayesha badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttamasloke bhaktir bhavati naistaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated. And loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyana Tamarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Milatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 4, Text 63.
Okay. So Durvasa, this powerful mystic who had just gone off by essentially mystically attacking
Mystically.
this pure bhakti yogi king Ambarish. It backfired on him. It boomeranged on him.
It was like
and
mystical road rage happened. It's just
yeah,
like he created an evil being from his hair.
yeah. So it backfired on him. The being just got burnt up very quickly, and now this burning hot disc is on his back of his neck. He tried Brahma, I can't help you. He tried Shiva, I can't help you. He's gone up to Vishnu, right? All the guna avatars, one after another. And Vishnu is going to speak to him now. Text 63.
It's almost like bullies getting karma, something like that,
Yeah, a little like that.
which is something I follow on Instagram.
Bully's getting karma.
Yeah, I did something like that. I did. Okay, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said to the Brahmana, I'm completely under the control of my devotees. Indeed, I am not at all independent. This is the Lord saying this. I'm
is
not
God.
independent,
I'm not independent.
right? Because the
Yes.
Lord is affected by love.
There you go.
You actually control God. You want to control the universe? You can. You fall deeply in love with God, and then God gives himself to you. What a
Mm.
cool theology right here. Because my devotees are completely devoid of material desires, I sit only within the cores of their hearts.
Oh,
What to
that's very
speak,
interesting, right?
right?
It's saying that our material desires are like there's no seat here for you. Once we clear the space of the material desires, there's space for him to say, "Oh, I'll sit down right there."
We
Right
have a
about
golden throne within our heart.
golden throne.
Yeah, but we're inviting so many other people to sit
Wrong
on that,
people. Oh,
right?
good one.
People,
Good one.
things,
Yeah.
stuff, ideas,
Like
so-called
Harry
adventures.
Styles. I clear off my golden throne and let him sit right there, right?
Yeah, it's almost like having an altar and just like throwing a bunch of other crap on the altar as well.
Yeah. There's no
That-
room there.
Yeah,
There's no
it
room
just
for the
becomes like a
deities
mess. Like, for example, if you go to a person's house who's really loving their deities, you can see the love through that
Oh,
altar.
yeah.
And you can see when they're just sort of statues also.
That's
you
true.
know,
You can
or
feel it.
and then you can see how they're just part of the other clutter on your windowsill or something like that.
Right.
And so like Krishna's in there, also this book is in there, and also my child's toys on that thing. And then so when you clear that throne and the only thing on that throne is Krishna, then you realize that there's no other room. And that's when the Lord starts getting more. Now, of course, because I'm no pure devotee, my life is riddled with desires and choices that might be adverse to pure devotional service. But because there's a little Krishna in there, Krishna reciprocates with that little. And to the degree that there's more, Krishna reciprocates more. So Krishna becomes more present to the degree that I invite him in more. And when it's purely a throne of just Lord Krishna and his divine consort, then it's like, then I become the supreme controller. What do you think about that? I become the supreme controller because I'm controlling Krishna.
Actually, I've heard a subtle distinction on that, Raghunath.
Uh-oh.
No, actually, what you're saying is true. But in other words, it's not exactly the devotee that controls Krishna, but it's the love that the devotee has in their heart that controls Krishna.
There you go.
Right.
There you go.
And what you're saying is reminding me so much of that beautiful song by Bhakti Thakur.
Yeah.
Mama mana mandire. You know that one?
Yeah. The
Rahanashi
Manmana Mandire.
Murari, Shri Krishna Murari.
Shri Krishna Murari sit on the
Please
throne
abide
of
in the temple of my heart, both day and night, O Krishna Murari, O Shri Krishna Murari. Devotion, love, flower garlands, and sandalwood. Please accept them, O delighter of the heart. In life or in death, I worship you with these offerings, beautiful one, O enchanter of the heart. Come, son of Nanda, and then, O son of Nanda, I will offer you arti ceremony with the lamplight of my love. The waters of the Yamuna river cascade incessantly from my eyes in your separation, O holder of Govardhan Hill. May I pass my life absorbed only in songs of your praise. Only, that's full-hearted, right? Only in songs of your praise. Nothing else, no other songs, just those songs. Oh, Krishna Murari, Shri Krishna Murari. This is it, right? Yeah, let me clear out some space for you. This temple worship that we do, it's all about, there's the macro and the micro kind of thing, right? There's the external and then there's the internal. What's being done externally? Like you're saying, you want a clean altar, a clean space, pristine, that you want to offer very pure things, and then say, you stay here in this space, you be present in this space. For the devotee, it's like, God, you stay present right here in my heart, please. But I got to clear it out, clean it out, make it a place that he wants to be,
Special.
Yeah. Okay, so we still haven't finished this verse. Because my devotees are completely devoid of material desires, I sit only, nowhere else, only within the core of their hearts.
What to speak of my devotee? Even those who are devotees of my devotees are very dear to me. Ooh. Wow.
Connections. Right?
Krishna's interested in your whole tribe, Kaustubha. Anyone who's looking up to you because you're such a nice devotee, Krishna falls in love with them too.
It's nice. It's nice.
That's the thing about relatives of devotees.
Yeah.
They're not ordinary.
No.
Catherine A's brother is not ordinary because he's a devotee of Catherine in one sense. He loves Catherine.
Loves for her.
If Catherine would just say, I'm really, really sick, can you come help me? He would come because he's lovingly devoted. Right? So he gets all of her. She bathes in the Ganga. He gets all the blessings as well.
It's like electricity. It's like they're connected. If they're connected, then he's also connected to Krishna because she's connected to Krishna. If he's connected to her, then everybody's connected together.
Boom. And to the degree that one partner in a couple is devoted, the partner gets the benefit.
Yeah.
Mara's very, very spiritual. I get all of her benefit. I'm reaping the benefit of her devotion. Thank you.
Thank you.
And even if your partner doesn't even seem that interested, they're getting all the benefit. You don't even realize it's happening underground.
Oh. Okay, text 64.
Right. Text 64, like the chief.
Yeah, the chief.
Like the chief. Got the old 1-2 happened. Wife's a pure devotee, and then chief's like, me too.
I was walking around. Next thing, he's walking around like telling everybody what's going on.
The chief is like the mayor. He just walks around shaking people's hands. Oh, Hare Krishna, how are you? Tell me about your life story. You know who's like that too is Mukunda Kishore's wife, Claire. Claire is like, she's like a female version of the chief. Hare Krishna.
Chatting everybody up, figuring out what's
Chatting
going
everybody up. Everyone's best friend. Okay, continuing on. O best of the Brahmins, without saintly persons, for whom I am the only destination, I do not desire to enjoy my transcendental bliss and my supreme opulence. And my supreme opulences.
This is an incredible statement, Without saintly persons, for whom I am the only destination, I do not desire to enjoy my transcendental bliss or my supreme opulences.
What does the Lord enjoy? Just reciprocating love. Like we really enjoy. That's what we really love. We like reciprocating love, but generally we're looking for it on the on a simple platform in the material world, which is there. There is love in the material world, but it's blended with a temporality that breaks our heart as well.
Hmm.
We get
don't you
reciprocating
read-
love from our animals, our pets.
Yeah,
We
always
get it
looking
from our
for that.
children or our parents, and we have that reciprocating love at all times. It's just temporary. And it's sort of a training ground, perhaps, to have that love with the divine.
Yeah. Why don't you read the commentary to this, Raghu?
To 64?
Bhaktivedanta Swami purport.
To 64.
Yes.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead is self-sufficient, but to enjoy his transcendental bliss, he requires the cooperation of his devotees. In Vrindavan, for example, although Lord Krishna is full in himself, he wants the cooperation of his devotees, like the cowherd boys and the gopis, to increase his transcendental bliss. Such pure devotees, who can increase the pleasure potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are certainly dear to him. Not only does the Supreme Personality of Godhead enjoy the company of his devotees, but because he is unlimited, he wants to increase his devotees unlimitedly. Thus, he descends to the material world to induce the non-devotees and rebellious living entities to return home back to Godhead. So we're naturally devotees, but we're a little rebellious. We don't want to worship God. We want to be God. But then if you want to be a real rebel within the rebels, then you start to say, you know what? God's cool. And then you become a rebel and people start to like, you're nuts. Be a rebel of the rebels. Fall back in love with
Rebel.
God.
Maybe
Rebel,
that's what the
rebel.
song Rebel. That's what song Rebel, Rebel. Maybe that's what that was about.
Maybe was it David Bowie?
Yeah.
Maybe he was a
Good,
devotee.
Raghu. Very good, Raghu.
I got one right.
You got that
Krishna,
one.
the Krishna consciousness movement. That's part of what we're in. We're in the Krishna consciousness movement. Is an attempt to increase the number of pure devotees of the Supreme Lord more and more. It is certain that a devotee who helps in this endeavor to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes indirectly a controller of the Supreme Lord. Although the Supreme Lord is full in six opulences, he does not feel transcendental bliss without his devotee. An example of that may be cited in this regard, that if a very rich man does not have sons in a family, he does not feel happiness. I guess daughters too.
Yeah.
Indeed, maybe it's just written in that, masculine, everything is masculine. Indeed, sometimes a rich man adopts a son to complete his happiness. The science of transcendental bliss is known to the pure devotee. Therefore, the pure devotee is always engaged in increasing the transcendental happiness of the Lord. This brings me back to my famous analogy of enjoyment takes two. Because I grew up when in the dawn of water parks. All the other parks were mechanical roller coasters, very cool. But then all of a sudden, they sort of like pivoted and said, you know what? We're going to make water parks. That's you. You just go down a slide. There's nothing mechanical. It's a giant slide. Go through a tunnel. It shoots you out of a hole, and you're 10 feet above a pool of water. And I was like, that is incredible. And so my whole childhood was spent trying to convince my father to take me to water parks. And then I got invited. You know the story. I'm going to tell it anyway. So I got invited to teach a yoga festival in Jakarta, in Indonesia. And I was like, well, and we were in a hotel and we were meeting with all the teachers. And
This
the head
does
of
not
the
involve you being naked in front of a kangaroo or anything like that, right?
This has got nothing to do with me, naked yoga, and the kangaroo. That's another story.
Okay.
This is
It's a
Jakarta.
different
No
story.
kangaroos in Jakarta.
Okay.
But we had a meeting with all the teachers and the guy who was directing the yoga festival. And I said, well, where's the festival? In this hotel? It was a weird hotel. He said, no, it's across the street in the water park. I was like, what do you mean the water park? He's like, well, there's like a public water park not a public one. It's like, you know, a water park that the yoga festival rented out for the weekend. I was like, are the rides happening? And they're like, yeah, all the rides are
The
happening. The
first thing.
park's actually going. People are going to be at the park. We're just doing a festival within it. Yeah, you can use all the facilities
Can
in the park. I was
we
like,
go on the rides?
I said that. I said that. And I think some of the other yoga teachers were like, who is this for a guy? But
He's the yoga
but they're like,
teacher?
yeah, it was whatever you want. You have passes for the entire park and all the food you want and stuff like that. So I was like, oh my God, I get to go to a water park. And so sure enough, I'm like, this is incredible. A water park. I only have to teach 2 classes today. I get the whole day to be at this water park. And it's Indonesia. It's hot. It's sunny. And then I realized, like, this is ridiculous. I'm like a grown man alone in a water park. And like, you know how sometimes if you've probably never been in a water park, Kaustubha, but you know, if you go up there in line with their big rubber tube, sometimes it's a weird number. So they're like, well, all right, sir, you go with these 3 children. So I'm like in a tube
Oh,
with 3
no.
little children that are not
Raghu.
my children.
Huh.
And I'm like, yeah. It's like it's hard to enjoy the material world because the material world takes 2. Our joy, our happiness is for
Right.
2. It's for others. It's for a community. It's not for one. So even when I'm coming down there, I'm trying to have fun. And I don't want to talk to these kids. It's going to look weird. But if I don't talk to them, that looks even weirder. So I'm caught in this weird, you know, in this, yes, in this weird space.
Conundrum.
A weird conundrum, a weird what do you call between heaven and hell? Purgatory. Do I talk to these little children or do I ignore the little children? And then of course they're like, "Do you want the photo?" And I was like, "I don't know. It's gonna look weird if I hang a photo of myself."
A photo. Oh
If I
God.
hang a photo of myself with the 3 little children and I put it in my house.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, we need others to enjoy, and so does the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord
That's how he
wants
operates.
to
Yeah, he
enjoy
expands.
reciprocating love. It's not just about a water park alone. That's no fun, Kaustubha.
I'm with you.
I tried. I've been there.
Okay.
That would have been a good
I'll keep
chapter
that in
for my
mind.
book.
Yeah.
I got to make the
Okay, Mary.
outtake, punk to monk outtakes, Kaustubha.
It's going to be just as long
Yeah.
as Punk to Monk.
Yeah. it was.
All right.
Hey,
Ready for some
Mara.
takeaways? Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Mara's so damn Satvik. It's so good to have a Satvik person in my life.
Thanks. Qualified or not, we need to think about how to spread Lord Chaitanya's movement.
Yeah.
Okay.
The world is suffering. Bhakti relieves the pain.
Yes.
does.
Yes, it does, Kaustubha.
Krishna is working to send you devotees.
Okay.
Write down your miracles to remember life is magic.
This is all from the intro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seek God with a full, whole heart.
Okay. Wholehearted.
Seekers.
Krishna shows us our real self-interest and our false ego's interest.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it comes from deep within us, it hits heart deep.
Right. Heart-to-heart connections here we're talking about.
What are we? What do we got on the throne of our hearts? What's sitting on the throne of our hearts? How about that?
Well, I was going to say,
Throne of the
clear
heart.
the golden throne of the heart.
Clear the golden throne. Don't just clear it.
Clear it for God.
Invite.
Find the golden. What do they call it? Palette.
Cow.
Golden.
Golden
Huh?
cow.
No, the Mormon thing.
Yeah.
The golden plates.
Find the golden plate.
Me and Jiu-Jitsu now, they're going to go searching for the missing plate.
Go for it, Roger. Is it out there in Syracuse?
Start
Where
our
is
own. Kaustubha, we got something to tell you. We found the truth. But you know what the interesting thing is? They don't know where those plates are.
it? We found the truth. They
You know
don't
what's
know where
interesting
what?
also? Those guys were young.
Joseph Smith.
Google that while she's doing that. Google that, Kaustubha. How old?
How
was
old
Joseph?
was Joseph Smith when
Yeah,
he was 20 years
when the
old?
agent,
I think
when
he
the
was 20.
angel Maruni appeared to him, it was something ridiculously young.
I don't know.
All right, back to our takeaways. God enjoys reciprocal love.
He does.
Invite the golden avatar to the golden throne of your golden heart and read the golden plates.
Find the missing golden plate. Be a rebel's rebel and love God.
Rebel, rebel.
Rebel.
Material world takes 2 or more to enjoy. And
Go.
neck beads are a step up from puka shells.
They definitely are.
That's a good one. That could be a t-shirt. Thanks
By the
everybody for
time
joining
that
us.
Puka shells, they're not going to do anything for you.
Puka shells will
The
do
fashion.
nothing. Well, I don't know. You might impress a few people.
No,
I
but
think I
it's not
impressed
gonna
somebody. I
impress-
impressed
but
myself.
It's not going to impress the Yamadutas. That's the point.
It's not going to impress them. Thank you, beautiful people, for joining us today. We got a lot of people joining us live, which is fun. And you can join us live too. Just email Miss Mara, wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. And you can get in on that little morning party we have at 6 a.m. Eastern time. Thank you for coming up at Super Soul Farm. We have a lot of stuff. If you're interested, we're going to post it somewhere. We're going to do it at Super Soul Farm. We'll figure out where to post it. We're going to post it. If you're interested in what's happening at Super Soul Farm, email Miss Mara. Send it to you. And Wisdom of the Sages Retreat, Memorial Day weekend. We want to see everybody. Maha wrestling match with me and Kaustubha going to happen. That's going to be the center of it all. Next to kirtan, storytelling, delicious prasad, and just good association. And Wisdom of the Sages live in my living room.